Ah, here we go. Finally, the Seahawks podcast where we've got a good one for you today. We've got rookie minicamp thoughts, takeaways. We're going to break down video from the beat reporters and still images from the team website, like absolute degenerates. I mean, let's not lie. We all know why we're here. That's what you're here for. We also have undrafted free agent people who we're going to highlight some standouts from that, and then an overall assessment of the Seahawks roster. Are there any trades that they could be thinking about, pondering, and yeah, what moves could possibly be made to potentially free up some cap space? Drift though. Before that, we do a thing called Preamble, don't we?
We
So
do.
what? So I'm not trying it, but essentially, last weekend I was lucky enough to stay in a hotel,
Hmm.
and said hotel had coffee bags from a coffee company here, which I like, right?
Yeah.
But they also do coffee bags, and so I took them from the hotel,
Okay.
and
That's
I now
listening.
it's not like I'm not a thief. It's just they were
You're
there.
you're
I put
allowed
them
to
in my
say that.
rucksack. Yeah, I think they were for me. I was paying for the hotel room.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I wasn't, but that's besides the point. You
Well, I
know,
mean, what's the difference if you decided to use them while you're there? You know,
exactly. Thank
it's
you.
no
So,
different.
so
No
it's
different.
fine. It's fine. I'm not going to be cancelled. And I'm trying one right now, and it said to brew it for just 2 minutes. It's
Hmm.
like it's going to be like water.
Yeah.
So I brewed it for longer, and it tastes kind of not. It's very weak, but then I usually have espresso. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Was it better at the hotel?
Well, I didn't have it at the hotel. I just took the
Oh,
3 packets that was. Yeah.
so you took a real risk then because you didn't know what you were getting into.
I know. Imagine if I'd been stopped and searched,
Now,
and
is
yeah.
it like pizza where all free pizza is amazing because it's free? Is it still disappointing?
You know what? I'd never thought of the fact that all free pizza is like a thing. Is that a thing in America? You'll just walk down the street and get free pizza.
No, no, it's more like, you know, it's more the general idea of if you have pizza and it sucks, it's like, well, it was still pizza. Like even bad
Right, right,
pizza is
right, right.
still.
True,
But
true.
then the principle is even more intense when it's free. I think that goes for all free food. You enjoy
Right.
free food more than food that you paid for. It's all
Yeah. No,
psychological.
it's funny you say that because I was having a discussion where bad pizza is fine, like it's good, like it's not a problem. Like
Yeah,
in terms of fast food, pizza or burger, I would lean burger. However, the like a really bad pizza is fine, whereas a really bad burger is very, very bad, like
disappointing.
disappointing.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to screw up bread and cheese. Like that
Well,
just goes a long way.
pizza was the original like peasant food, right? It was food of the people.
Mm, there you go.
Um, and since has become a bit more bougie.
Well, everything has a bougie slant now. That's
True.
just
Not this podcast though.
you can find authentic versions. Yeah, we're rustic and authentic. Our
Mm-hmm.
brand is rustic authenticity.
That's right.
That's why we refuse to up the production value.
Noigash. This Noigash. Now, I appreciate how you turn up in the chat. I like you, Noigash, even though you often bring a differing take to what we have, right? I think we can all agree here. We're all mates here, right? However, to say it's more comfortable to eat pizza than a burger is so wrong.
No, that's right. New
No,
guys
that
should
is a
be right.
trash take.
What?
Pizza is really hot, right? And there's all this like sloppy,
It's so
well,
easy to pick up.
sloppy cheese. Yeah, but then you got to curl it. I mean, here's the thing. What type of pizza are we talking here? Because a New York slice, maybe, but that could be a big floppy boy or a big greasy boy. But if you're picking up a Italian style Neapolitan pizza, you need a knife and fork.
No, you don't.
or you're burning the roof of your mouth because you're rolling it and then you're shoving it in.
Just wait, but burgers fall apart, man. Like I like a
No,
lot of toppings in there. A lot
here's the
of
thing. This is that if a burger's falling apart, that for me is making it a really bad burger, and then I'm not eating it. Like it's very important to me, burger architecture.
I agree with that, but it's
Soukman, Soukman, that is out of order. Like that's just despicable. I've been known to ban people for stuff like that.
Matty taking advantage, going on a power trip.
Yeah, you're Soukman, you're testing me right now. Like what Noigash said, I was heated, and now, yeah. See, if stuff's falling off the burger, that's a problem with the burger. You got to get less toppings. You got to get a really good bread, and I don't mean good bread. I mean like trash bread, but it's stable, it's sturdy.
See, I appreciate Five Guys, but their burgers fall apart on me every time.
Well, see, I appreciate Five Guys, right? We have that. It made its way out here, okay?
Nice.
And if the Five Guys is falling apart on you, then maybe you're the one with the small hands. And also, you need to squidge it down and eat it quicker. I think that's the other thing. I can eat a burger really quickly, whereas eating pizza quickly is challenging.
Yeah.
I'm actually a bit of a sicko when it comes to pizza, though.
Are you?
I'll knife and fork it, right?
See, I would never knife and fork.
Yeah, well, it gets worse. And then what I do is I roll it from the triangle point to the crust.
Yeah.
Roll it up, then like slice a bit and get a little pizza roll.
Interesting.
And then ratio wise, topping wise, you get a bit of everything, you see.
Yeah. Well, see, I do I respect that. I respect that actually. I do fold mine pretty religiously if it's thin crust.
Religiously?
Yeah, I'm a folder. I fold like Costco pizza. I fold.
Ricardo saying that is weird. Ricardo, are you? I may have this wrong. I may have misremembered. Are you from Brazil, Ricardo? Maybe I'm off on that. But like, what is pizza like in Brazil compared to pizza in England? In England, it tends to be either you got your Neapolitan or you got like thin, but you're not getting deep dish or anything like that.
Matty, question for you: what is the pizza scene like in France? Because
awful.
Do they even like pizza? Like culturally?
God.
Do they reject it because of its origin?
No, I don't think they hate pizza, dude. I think everyone likes pizza.
Okay. To answer all pro Seahawks, my favorite chain burger, fast food chain is Habit. Habit is great. They're a little more upscale though, price wise, but Habit is amazing.
So the one French thing which is excellent, Griff, which is kind of like a pizza, is something called a tarte flambée. In German, it's a Flammekuchen, which is basically from Alsace, which is a region in France which speaks a bit of German and is like near the border, you know. And that is basically like pizza dough, but then with creme fraiche, thinly sliced onions and lardons.
They sell a version of that at Trader Joe's, and it's actually really good.
There you go.
It's really good.
What doesn't Trader Joe's have?
Linebackers.
Oh, Ricardo, my bad. Puerto Rico. Oh, that's cool. I don't know why I thought Brazil. Anyway.
Hit it, Matty.
Oh. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where we are recapping Seahawks rookie minicamp. We're highlighting some undrafted free agent standouts from the 2024 NFL draft class. And we're going to assess where the Seahawks roster is at after all of this, what trades they could make, if they can, and maybe some cap moves, which are so exciting. But Griff, let's start with the off-season activities that have taken place over the past week or so. You've seen the first shots of rookies actually playing, well, if you can call it football. They're going through drills. They're at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. You've seen Mike McDonald handle his first practice as a head coach. You've seen all sorts of things. What stands out to you from all of this?
I don't really care about the whole music thing. Like the first day they didn't play music, then the next day they did. I don't really care about that.
McDonald's saying that they need to get the balance right. I mean,
yeah,
like it's another thing. It wasn't just going to be like Pete Carroll, right? And having music, McDonald, and I mean this in the best way, but he doesn't seem like the type of coach who would want really loud music all the time.
I don't see him as a hard ass. I don't
think hard ass. I think he has a certain focus.
He's just
about him.
dry, and then that doesn't mean there isn't a lot of personality. See, people say introverted. I think we conflate introversion and not having personality. I think McDonald has a lot of personality. He just expresses it. He just doesn't express it the same.
An introverted extrovert. There
you go. Yeah, anyway, I think it was interesting that Wyman said the practice was kind of disjointed. Granted, it's all rookies. It's all rookies in a coaching staff that like nobody knows anybody. So it's fresh faces for absolutely everybody, right? But it will look smoother when the vets come in anyway. There were some interesting technique things. I liked that. Well, I don't know if I'm not saying I like this per se. I'm not saying I dislike it either, but it was of note. They had Byron Murphy mirror stepping. And of course, they're going to be having him doing all sorts of stuff. But it kind of suggests that, he'll be playing some 2-eye nose tackle still a little bit. Also, like 4-eye end when they go into base. He didn't play 4-eye in college, but he will be technically in base personnel. I'm sure he'll be rotated as technically the end, even though he's still an interior player playing the inside half of the tackle, B-gap, 4-eye, 4 technique.
Mm-hmm.
But, anyway, that was interesting. I'm curious to see if the coaching points are different, like minor stuff that we pick up on. We saw Mike Morris doing some stuff. I don't remember seeing too much of what the skill players were or weren't doing. But what stood out to you? Anything in particular? Because you think, well, you can't glean anything from this, but like Matty, you were able to reverse engineer an entire scheme change this time last year. I'm having one technique nose tackle, power stepping nose tackles, and from that triggered, like, well, they're going to fit the run entirely differently off of that. So this isn't just nothing.
Yeah, and that was this time last year, right? That was rookie minicamp. We saw Cam Young playing nose, and he was power stepping as a shaded nose, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is remarkable. Fats, thank you for the camera placement. Griff, let's dive into what you're saying about Byron Murphy 2-gapping. Not a surprise because he's going to be asked to do a bit of both 2-gap and 1-gap, but you can see this drill here. They're working on the order that you 2-gap in, where you are reacting essentially and catching the man, and then you're getting off the block. That's like head up play, right? That's like playing a 0-tech nose or maybe a 4-tech on a tackle. Right. But this to me looks like they're practicing on a center.
Pure 2-gapping, and their hand placement too seems to be a big deal.
Yeah. Thumbs above. Go ahead.
So they're doing a wrist grab here. That's interesting. A double wrist grab. So I wonder when they do and when they don't want them to grab the wrist, because normally it's arms, it's hands supinated like this into the armpits when you're 2-gapping.
Tit and tit.
There you go. Is that what they're saying across the pond?
It's what they say in every resource that we may or may not have. But
yes,
I think the idea here is they want to grab with the hands. They don't want to punch. They want to grab cloth, and I think this is to set up that kind of grabbing action. So give them something to grab, and then you transition into the chest.
Right. I mean, yeah. If you're grabbing the hands, they cannot block you. I mean, you're not getting your hands on their like center mass to really control them, but like they cannot block you if you've got their hands controlled. So that's interesting. But it's also of note again that they've got him two gapping here, and his potential, unlocking his potential, is going to be via him one gapping. So
yeah,
not a surprise they still want him to do both though.
well, they 100% are going to two gap their nose tackle most of the time, I think.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, as I've put here, this is react attack. As Griff says, supinated hands. So that's the thumbs up, the knuckles out, and then it's lock, which is this part here, is the lock, and then the peeking through the primary gap, which you see with the head turning. Can I zoom in a bit more? And then the shed, which is that, and you see how he's peeking around the target like this rather than looking over, because you want to stay low with your pad level. But he looks the part. Then the other thing as well is the feet, the hands, and then the hips coming through, which there is a few drills where they're working their hips as well, which we'll get to. And then here, Griff, you sent this to me. I mean, do you have any takes on this?
That's very much, it looks like what they had last year. So they're two gapping, the footwork is mirror stepping. So you're literally, your lead foot is mirroring their lead foot. So if they go to your right, you're stepping to your right. Like what foot goes first is going to be dictated by the offensive lineman. Whereas when you're one gapping or power stepping, the foot that goes first is going to be your back foot no matter what, regardless of the direction of the lineman.
Yeah.
So,
and you can see the coach here, to rep that part which Griff's been talking about. The coach is pointing out to the offensive guards, so to speak, which direction to step. And then, as you know, he steps to Murphy's right. So Murphy steps with his right foot. It's quite a wide step, but I'd imagine this is practicing playing on the inside shoulder of a guard as a nose in nickel. Just thinking about Murphy's body type as well, what he was good at Texas, where most of his good pass rush came from as well, as we spoke about in the last episode. And this is like if the guard, I mean, he steps up inside as well, like on a tight path, but this wider path is more like outside zone. Yeah.
And obviously they don't want the hands involved because they want it to be a feet first exercise and get the feet and eyes on the same page.
Because as we're talking about, it's feet first with everything when it comes to two gapping, because you have to mirror where that guy's going because you're trying to catch him, really.
Right. Whereas with like Pete Jenkins himself, the DL god, with one gapping, it's literally hands first, hands, hip, and then feet. So like Matty said, with two gapping, it's
feet, hands, then
and
hips.
Two gaps, feet, hands, then hips. Yeah. So perfect. By the way, anyone listening, you wanna more understanding what we're saying, literally go YouTube Pete Jenkins one gap, two gap, and you'll find all of his lectures.
Yeah.
And it's you cannot go to a better ground zero of learning than Pete Jenkins. It's both 101 and like upper level 300 level course stuff. And he's a great communicator too. He's funny too, so it's not boring. But so when we say mirror stepping, we're talking two gapping, we're talking read attack, react attack, same thing. When we're talking power stepping, we're saying one gapping, attack, react. So all synonyms there.
Yeah. So then D-line wise, that's Byron Murphy's workload, which is to be expected. They're going to play a lot of nickel. They're going to play him head up on a nose in base, probably. Head up on a center, sorry, is the nose in base. They will one gap him as well, but in nickel, his kind of starting off point, you'd think he has to learn how to play the 2i nose as well, which he already did in college. Now, Mike Morris, there was a question mark over whether in his second year after an injury redshirt year, basically where in the offseason he got up to 290 pounds and they're thinking of him as a big end or a D end, right? But on the inside of base, there was questions over whether he would still do that this year or whether he would be a big or even a slightly lighter outside linebacker, because under Mike McDonald at Michigan in 2021, anyway, the year McDonald was the coordinator there, Morris was exclusively an outside type. He didn't play inside, or maybe there was like a couple of snaps inside, but really he was outside. So these two images were sent to us by Ted on Twitter, and they're interesting images of Mike Morris. Griff, do you have any thoughts on this? Because when I saw this, I immediately thought of something, and then I'm kind of doubting it. So, yeah, what's your takeaway here?
I mean, he looks like. I mean, I think I see a 4-eye posting a guard on the front side.
Yep.
Of zone, or
yep. So
even a down block.
Yeah. So the coach on the right that we see here in audio listeners, I'll try my best to describe this for you, but it looks like the coach on the right in the blue hat is trying to basically base block Morris out of the play. Meanwhile, the tackle has wide departed from Morris's further right. So it looks as though essentially Morris is padding back to the guard on the front side of the run, like Griff was saying.
Yeah.
And then this clip here, Griff, is that the tackle coming to down block on him and him padding back while reading the guard? Or is this like a 5 technique where he's getting chipped by the tight end?
I think it could be a tackle down block. Yeah.
But the point of all of this being, this is 4-eye, we think, defensive work.
Yeah.
Meaning he's going to continue on the interior predominantly. Right. He also looks pretty sizey.
And
maybe
we're
not
talking
290.
Like, we're talking 3-4 personnel here where he's playing an end 4-eye. Yeah.
And for him really to get on the field, he needs to be able to get as many of those base snaps as possible. Thinking about the role Brent Urban had, I always bang on about it, but he was largely a base player only for the Ravens, but he still filled an important kind of, he was the big end type role for them. And Morris is like the nickel rotation is stacked. I mean, his prospects are making the roster look pretty tricky right now, so he needs to be able to capitalize on this. And so, this is base, but if he's a base interior, I mean, possibly he finds himself on the edge in nickels occasionally, but really he's going to be asked to play the 2, maybe even the 2-eye nose if he gets good at the 2 gapping, right, Griff? Right. But he's going to be inside in the nickel stuff as well.
Right. I'm looking at the roster right now, the interior line and the interior defensive lineman. Your first string, if we're talking nickel, your first string is probably, as of right now, probably Reed at nose and Williams at 3 technique. Then your second string is Hankins at nose, Murphy at 3 technique.
Yeah.
And then you're getting into like Morris, Jones, Cam Young. And you right away you circle Jones and Morris as guys that could play a big end, right? Like you were saying, with guys that can like moonlight out there. Like you can flex them a little bit to find snaps. But I mean, I'm just looking at this, like Adams feels like he's probably going to be cut. And then Cam, it's like hard to see Cam Young making the roster if they carry that many bodies. You start to wonder, given that, could Jaron Reed be a surprise cut? Because I mean, we're talking, even though he was so good last year, that was as a 1 technique.
Yeah.
And he may not work as a 2-eye. If they want cap space to do something, could he be like a, whoa, where'd that come from type of cut?
And he's a significant leader in the locker room, but
and he was
he's getting up to 32 now. How realistic is it for him to repeat the success of last year? And he did have difficulty in Green Bay. Not that he can't 2-gap, but when Green Bay asked him to play like a 4-eye, so the 2-gapping kind of the end role in like a 3-4 base, he was really poor. Like that turned me and Griff off him completely. As like coming back to Seattle, he just took into the. I think with Green Bay, there's other things going on there in terms of buy-in and how bad that situation got for him in other aspects. But can he go back to that technique again, or is it going to look bad again? The one gapping almost revitalized his career.
Right. So it will be an interesting thing to watch. And if you cut him, you save $5 million.
Yeah.
So I wonder what they're thinking there, because then you've also got Murphy's ability to play nose tackle, and you've got Hankins, you've got Cam Young. I wonder if they're secretly thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many guys. There's only so many. I mean, do you want to sign Leonard Williams to the deal you did, and then only be able to play him 600 snaps, the lowest of his career? I mean, it's just you have to start asking yourself, like, we can't get all the guys on the field that we have high investment in. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't want to cut Jaron. I'm just saying, like, I wonder.
Corey asking an interesting question there. Do you think we'll see some 4-man fronts with every guy 275 pound plus, something like Jones, Hankins, Reed, Williams? Corey, I definitely think that's a possibility. Definitely, maybe. If you look at how McDonald's run defense struggled in the second half of the season with the Ravens, like 31st bad from being a top 5 unit, like really, really bad. You'd have thought, learned some lessons about how they're going to play nickel, but still, because they're only based 21% of the time. Basically, when they can get into nickel forefronts, they will do it because they want the pass rush angles, and they just want the 4-man pass rush in general. So you'd think he'd have learned. Wow, that's an upset dog about the run defense. Yeah.
And we're back.
I think they'll have learned, or he'll have been anxious to try and find a solution to that, and more mass up front when you've got Morris as an option, but really just excluding him, you've got Draymond Jones, who was playing outside linebacker anyway towards the end of last season for that kind of stouter run defense. Remember, Jadeveon Clowney in Baltimore was getting to 270, and he was a big impact on their run defense as a playmaker. Then you've got obviously Jaron Reed, Leonard Williams, and Byron Murphy. I mean, that's 4 guys over 275 pounds, easy. So yeah, Corey, when McDonald speaks about the options and the versatility they have there, that's one of the possibilities.
You also think about a potential Draymond Jones trade too, if they're trying to free up snaps.
Yeah.
You don't save very much this year. You save $5 million by trading Jones, and you take on $13 million dead, but then you obviously save a lot next year. And if Draymond Jones could be part of a package for like an impact linebacker or maybe even safety out in the league somewhere that they really covet, then I don't know, it's something to think about. I think bottom line though, them having kind of an embarrassment of riches at D-line affords them a lot of options. So you can either liquidate some of it, or you just have a really incredibly deep D-line, right? And it's a good problem to have type of thing. So either way, I don't know. I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah. So, I mean, this looks like Morris working a club rip. And then the final factor to this is we were speaking last episode about how Byron Murphy really needs to unlock his abilities of 3-tech and how he rushes from the 3-tech spot on the outside shoulder of the guard and works those angles. Something Griff was saying is not, well, it's kind of untapped, right? Like his best stuff came from inside shoulder of the guard.
Yeah.
This is an interesting clip from Greg Bell. I should credit everyone here. So the first video is Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times. This is Greg Bell of the Tacoma News Tribune. The pictures are from Edwin Hooper of Seahawks.com. So this is a great example of just how crazy Murphy's profile as an athlete is. It's a classic hoop drill for the audio listener. We're doing this on YouTube if you want to check it out.
Who is 95? Is that Buddha? Is that Buddha Jones?
Yeah, and we'll talk about him. I think it is. Yeah, he's a big. He's thick, right?
Beast.
Yeah. and doesn't look like any bad weight there, right?
No,
He's
you see the
shredded.
short arms though. He literally has I think he'll have the shortest arms of a defensive tackle ever to have made an NFL roster, at least in the last 30 years. Do you know how short his arms are?
Only 29 and a quarter.
They're 29 inches, bro.
Wow, not even a quarter. That's crazy.
They're,
Yeah, so
they're,
let's talk about Buda Jones now, Griff. Come on,
well,
so he's out of Troy. He's an undrafted free agent. So to be an undrafted free agent out of Troy with 29-inch arms, you're doing something.
I mean, hey, Majumbo, I actually have a 6'5", 6'6" wingspan. It aided me in basketball.
There you go.
Anyway. All right, but he's 6'3", 315, all good weight. I've not watched him, but I believe he tested insane, like measurably, like very explosive, which like broad jump, vertical.
Are you gonna read them out?
Actually, no, I'm way off. He had a terrible broad jump. His broad jump didn't even eclipse 8 feet.
But a 4.76 second 40 at 307 pounds is probably part of it, along with 35 reps on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that he's a good like leverage oriented player for a guy that's 6'3". He's intriguing. I want to see. I kind of want to see what happens there. I hope he makes it to preseason, and we can see something.
Okay. Right. Anyway, so this is Byron Murphy, so very much opposite ends of the spectrum, and Griff talked through this. This is just a interesting here. He's using like it's like a half a 4-point.
Yeah, because that's just what he's used to, man. He's coming out of.
He's been Texased.
Yeah, he's been Texas. It's insane how low he comes out, like his balance. He's so explosive. And he's getting his hips and toes cranked around. So he has all the bend. He has all the grace and subtlety in him physically.
Yeah.
Not to the same degree of Newton in this class, just to compare and contrast with him, but he's a short, squatty, explosive guy.
Yeah, look at his second step. Well, almost his first step, right? But look how he's already turned that foot. Crazy, these athletes.
So he has the bend. If he can access the upfield shoulder on guards, like he can bend and rip and bend it, all the way to the quarterback. He just has to get the timing and like knowing how to set up the guard set, like manipulate it, jab steps and all that. He's so used to rushing face up that he kind of works side to side, like he sways. And he got so good at that with enough reps, I'm sure he'll get really good at working the angles. But it's like his opponent, the guard, at rushing from 3 technique, it's a more vertical thing, less a horizontal thing. So he's going to have to think verticality. So I really hope he gets enough 3 technique reps where he's in a split leg stance, a power stepping stance, and he can just let it rip. Day one, I mean, Leonard Williams is going to be the Matabuike in terms of scheme. And then Murphy's just going to be like a brand of nose.
A bonus.
That McDonald's never had before, which is awesome. And he'll get 3 technique reps for sure, right? That's why he brought in Hankins to relieve him a little bit. But
what do you mean by that?
Matty, this is a family show. Get your
head out. Well, I didn't read it out. I've also noticed, talking family show, I'm not sure who this player is, but Greg Bell's caught them in the bit of spit coming out here. You ready? Oh, there you go. You like that? Oh, you can't even see it. I'm just sick.
Oh.
Look, nice bit of phlegm. There you go. Excellent.
All right, let's see Buddha. Do we get to see?
No,
Buddha?
This is the thing. Now, Greg, appreciate, Greg, I like you, man. We had a good time in Munich. But would it be so much to just video all of this? Where's the drone footage, Griff? Why haven't you flown a drone over to VMAC yet? Anyway.
It's all good. We'll be all right.
And then talking D-line again, here's Miles Adams, who is somewhat of the forgotten man, had a disappointing year last year. If Mike Morris is on the fringe, Adams is even more on the fringe. It
Yeah.
would be nice to see him actually get to play more 3-tech and like D end rather than just kind of using him as a surplus nose who's
Yeah.
not a nose. But anyway.
Yeah. I predicted a breakout that didn't materialize. He looked okay in his snaps. That Carolina game, he was getting after it. They just didn't play him. I wonder what happened.
Didn't get the snap. So maybe new coaching staff is his shot, or maybe time runs out. Anyway,
And they brought him back for a reason too. So it's not as though they don't like him.
So in terms of like noteworthy stuff out of camp press conferences, returning to the Murphy discussion, McDonald did mention that he needs to get in a bit of better shape for kind of practicing intensely throughout.
Yeah.
And then Murphy said, I love Coach McDonald. I feel like he's very demanding. So are you concerned about Murphy's weight? He didn't look overweight necessarily. It seemed more like a conditioning thing.
Well, we have to keep in mind that I don't think it's an effort or virtue thing or anything, but we have to keep in mind that Texas's D-line was so deep. He didn't play very many snaps. He was like a 500 snap player each of the last 2 seasons. So there were like the similar concerns with Carter, right? Coming out, how will he be able to handle more snaps? I'm sure he'll put in all the work, but like ultimately to get conditioned for the field, you just have to, and to be able to endure the physical punishment, you just have to play the snaps and live with the results. And then the following season, he'll be better equipped for it. So I don't know. We'll see. Fortunately, he's on a very deep D-line, so that he doesn't have to be that full-time player yet. But
yeah, my thing as well is they train for the combine and they get not necessarily in their best football shape. They're more just training for the combine drills. And then they go on all these different visits where they have to travel along with the combine. And so they're outside their usual environment for training and eating and all this type of stuff. So I think a lot of these guys are out of shape. I mean, AJ Barner suffered a hamstring injury, which McDonald said would keep him out a couple of days, and how they're playing it safe right now. Only a little hammy, nothing major, but it's again the type of injury which happens when you're not necessarily in your best football shape. And you're a rookie and you're still learning how to get that done.
Yeah, I'm going to correct
all the pressures of the pre-draft.
Indeed, I'm going to correct myself. So 2021 is freshman year. He played 298 snaps. Sophomore year, 392. Junior year, 438.
Right.
So he's not even played 500 snaps in a season.
No, he doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Now, offensive line, obviously, 3rd round pick, Christian Haynes is the star attraction. The big news really is that Jarrell worked at his usual tackle spot. Haynes worked at the right guard spot. But LeMayo, so have I put his name? Have I butchered his name?
I think.
Laumea, thank you, Laumea. I won't get that wrong again. It's to be expected, but rather than keeping him where he'd played in college most, right tackle, he played right guard in this rookie minicamp stuff. So they need bodies there. They needed Haynes. They obviously lost Phil Haynes. There may be the thought down the line that Christian Haynes kicks to left guard with Damian Lewis gone. But yeah, cool. And then we also got some videos. This looks like wide zone tracks, right, Griff? Like the big bucket step. They're getting out. Elephants on parade, as Seattle used to call it.
An old friend would say.
Yep. But indeed, here's a Bob Condota video of and I should have said those other pictures, that was not Haynes. But here is Haynes with a kind of, what does that look like to you, Griff? I've got my take.
Let me look at it again. Yeah, it looks like outside zone.
Yeah, he's the right guard here. He's got a 3 technique here. He's going to drive through the outside shoulder, the 3 technique, cut him off, get the reach block on outside zone.
Yep.
And you kind of see the coaching point emphasis is to drive up and through, and it'd be nice to have a different angle of that hand placement on the medicine ball to really get the resistance going, which is coaching the resistance up and through. You can see how Haynes torques his hips up during that moment.
Where some outside zone guys don't coach getting like opening up that much. Some don't like the bucket step because it doesn't allow you to stay square. He gets square late, but that's probably, Grubb just has a different view of it. That's fine though. Different ways to skin a cat.
I had another video of the offensive line.
Although I don't think that's a big divergence from how Andy Dickerson coached it though. So
right. And then here's Haynes on the sled from Greg Bell. I mean, do you have any takeaways on this, Griff? They're on a sled. They're hitting the sled.
On a sled, hitting a sled.
Wow.
I've got no takes.
No takes. I did have another video of the offensive line. Let me try and find that. Might have been Corbin who tweeted that out. Yes, here we go. 1 second, people. So this is the same type of deal here. Oh, you can't see it. Brilliant. Let me.
Fidel, thank you for the contribution, sir. We did talk about him probably about 10 minutes ago. I think you just missed it. We chatted at him a little bit right after Murphy.
Yeah, thank you, Fidel. Appreciate that. Right. So here's Haynes working a similar drill, although Griff, this looks more inside zone, or is that even duo?
It looks like duo, yeah. Like the front side of the double and holding the double.
Yeah, the way the choppy feet here. It's like he's ready to come off that onto a backer or second level. But an impressive guy. I mean, his run blocking was, and variety in run schemes was renowned, but there it is.
He's just strong as hell. And his body type doesn't look like it's just funny how he's distributed.
Like his butt's quite high and he's quite skinny in the lower. And
right. But he's absolutely flying. It's just probably a lot of fast twitch in there, man. You don't get a lot of guards that are fast twitch, but he's fast twitch. So it combines for power.
I don't know why I had this image. Oh, there's Mike McDonald looking on. That does not. This is not a good look, right?
What is it?
This. Oh, you can't see it. You could have told me. That's not very helpful, is it?
He looks disgusted. He's probably thinking, these are my linebackers? Oh, no. What scouting are we doing here, Matty? There's nothing to draw from this.
No, you're right. Let's not be mean. Griff,
Gino looks cool.
How do you feel about the Seahawks ditching? That's the other massive thing from rookie minicamp and the workouts. Ditching the practice jerseys and actually, like McDonald did in Baltimore, practicing in their jerseys, including the quarterbacks having obviously they don't get the road, they don't get the home, so the quarterbacks get the red shirt or the throwback uniforms.
I can forgive it because they're the throwback.
Right, but the non-quarterbacks aren't. So how do you feel about the practice jerseys no longer being a thing?
I can forgive it because they got the throwbacks on.
No, you're not understanding.
What?
the non-quarterbacks,
Oh, the
the
non.
defense wears the road, and the offense wears the home.
That's cool.
You
Whatever.
okay with it?
Yeah, I'm okay with
You're
it.
going to forgive that as well?
Yeah, I'll forgive it.
I do wonder what the thinking behind that is. Like, is it, we want to try and replicate a game as much as possible,
I
so let's wear
think
the same
so.
things?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Because I always used to think that I really like the Seahawks jerseys, but I used to think that the training camp or practice jerseys were really cool as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, also this looks really bad with the sponsor on it.
The sponsorship does ruin the whole thing, doesn't it?
No free ads. Okay, here Griff is our. I believe that's Dodson.
Is that Dodson?
Yeah.
No, this is rookie minicamp.
No, Griff, you've just seen Geno Smith. How is it
Oh,
rookie minicamp? Idiot. So there's also an off-season workout, right? So
right.
they all got together and had a few days running around, pretending to play football.
Yeah.
So this is Dodson working with Kirk Oliver Doty, the new inside backers coach.
Oliver Doty.
Yep, Olive Garden. And this Griff looks like weak side backer drops. This to me looks like a weak quarter flat, taking week 2 out.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's like 45-degree angle, not getting too wide from the coach. Eyes on the 2 to the Q, playing a bit cross-eyed maybe.
Yep.
Yep, nailed it. This is Geno Smith throwing an out pattern. Does that surprise you?
Yeah.
They still have out patterns in the playbook?
Nope, nothing surprising.
This is DK Metcalf catching. Based on the depth here, like it's near the sideline. There's no one near him. I think that's a comeback. Or is that a deep out?
I think a deep out.
Quite close to the sideline for comeback, right? Yeah.
They're getting their reps in. Yeah, I wonder what it's like for the players, the incumbent players, where like every single staff member except for the medical staff is new. Like
it must be bizarre.
Every face. That's got to be weird, right?
Absolutely, because you just don't know where you stand, and everything felt fairly not secure, but you had relationships that you built with these people.
Right. It's the
it just really emphasizes again that it's so much of a business, and
right. You have no
and
context.
It's so cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of take those people for granted. Like you probably might not see those people ever again. Some of them.
Right.
And you'd have probably got on with them well.
It's probably even weirder for the incumbents that were not in good standing, right? Like kind of what you're saying, like the year 1, year 2 guys where they just don't know necessarily, like Mike Morris.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, Mike Morris knows him a little bit, so he's.
Or even like I don't know if Seattle has this on a roster, but like a vet who'd been there a while who wasn't a star.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know.
Like Cam Young, Stone Forsythe, Mike Jackson, they're probably like, what is going on?
Cam Young would be awful, right? Because you had a tough shot of making the roster anyway. Then they draft Murphy, and they've got an entirely new coaching staff. It's like, what is my progression? Especially after struggling first year anyway.
Yeah. So it's just, an interesting like mental, emotional variable, which is just, unavoidable. So, and at the same time, it's kind of exciting though, too. Like everyone's trying to earn their keep. So you wonder what the mentality of the team will be like. I think it helps. I think it does help the entire roster that they have Geno, because Geno, DK, and Tyler are like rocks of the team. Yeah. And their specific personality types, I think, help. Tyler, like leader by example, just steady, confident.
Yeah.
DK is a huge presence, and then Geno's fiery. But
Geno's already started earning praise from the respective coaches now that they've kind of seen him in action, I imagine, for that type of stuff. And I think with Geno, it's easy to forget that, or maybe it's not easy to forget because it seems to kind of hamper him wherever the narrative goes with him. But he's been through a lot in the NFL. Like he's seen a lot of different locker rooms. He's been through a very weird locker room type incident before he came to Seattle and kind of rebuilt
Right.
his career. So
Good point.
he's seen good and bad stuff, and he probably knows what a good leader and good
Yeah.
presence was versus a bad leader and presence, and
Right.
will have learned a lot from that.
And I'll actually take this a step further. I think Geno is good for McDonald, not just like aside from the actual nitty gritty football things, like the product on the field. I think Geno's presence is good for McDonald. I think because they'll reinforce each other, and then McDonald kind of has some stability to lean on in a sense. Like he doesn't have problems on offense. Like Geno handles so much, and then the locker room looks to him in a way that doesn't take away from the coach, in a way that reinforces the coaching staff. I think, as much as we can tell from the outside looking in. So I think Geno's a really important figure culturally and like materially, like product on the field wise. So
Yeah, that's why it's always crazy to me, the discussion of just like moving on, because the solidity that gives you in so many aspects
yeah,
is so much. It's just of such good value, like hidden value as well.
right.
That if you didn't have it, you'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Monjombo pointing out Gino's only 3 years younger than Mike McDonald. Yep.
I kind of do you miss Drew? Do you miss Drew Lock? I miss him. I've got nothing against Sam Howell. I'm rooting for Sam. I want him to light it up in preseason, but because he's not touching Geno. But like, I miss Drew Lock. I think he also would have been good for similar reasons, like the whole quarterback room thing, like the whole team, like Drew, right? You know what I mean? Drew and Geno got on well. So I don't know. I feel like not having Drew is kind of a loss too.
Hey,
And
he's
like
gonna
good
go take the Giants to the playoffs.
you wonder though how much of, because when they interviewed what's his face, Kafka, Drew Lock was probably part of those conversations, right? So for them, the Giants to then go sign Drew Lock at free agency is probably Kafka thought, okay, there's a heartbeat here. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and the Giants seemingly promised him a very, very, very strong shot at competing. They didn't take a quarterback, competing for the starting job. I mean, they didn't take a quarterback, and they took a flashy, high pick receiver. Like they're basically getting fired if it doesn't work out this year. It could be the whole deal, right?
Yeah.
And so, if Locke wins that battle and then he's thrown to Malik Neighbors, suddenly it's looking good for him. So.
Yeah.
They took Neighbors, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Anyway, yeah, but how looks Howley, and the other quarterbacks didn't seem to do much. Now, on that subject, Griff, are you feeling okay now? Because I know you were traumatized about Chevan Cordero.
Yeah, I wish you didn't bring that up, to be honest with you.
Sorry. Forget I did. Let's just move on.
Thank you.
Here's Zach Charbonnet catching a wheel pattern. That's cool. Here's Gino again. That hat looks very nice. Big fan of the hat. Here's DK catching a pass. Great. Here's
There he is.
Ryan Grubb working with the quarterbacks.
He's like, this is the best QB I've ever coached.
Now, my one criticism, Edward, I think it's Edward, Mr. Hooper. Why are we blurring out this? There's no need. Like, it's fine to focus on this. I promise nothing bad will happen. Anyway. But I did actually have something else to talk about, which is meaningful.
All right.
There's Reek Woolen catching a pass.
Interception.
Yeah. And that's an interesting expression. And then here is DJ James playing press technique. This press technique looks like soft shoe, like mirror technique to me. Like he's playing quite off. He's getting a wide outside release. Oh, actually, that might be a wide inside release. Actually, yeah, I think it is. And you can see how his. We talked last episode about his feet, but his feet are in a very good position right now to transition with this route. Or his eye placement is interesting to me as well because that looks like. Is he looking at the numbers more than the hip? I think it's interesting. Anyway, so big thoughts for the corners. McDonald said afterwards that the defense kind of struggled, and I think he was a bit disappointed afterwards about some of the struggles the defense had, and transitioning from being a pure DC to the head coach role.
Yeah.
I mean, he spoke about how Adam Dirty was calling the plays on the defense because he has to figure out how to run the practice first. And you mentioned Wyman saying it was a bit rough to start off with.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also needs to kind of get in that mindset of coaching the defense versus coaching the whole team, which we anticipated. Grubb being a kind of senior, experienced offensive coordinator, albeit not at the NFL level, will help as well. But yeah, it sounds like the corners need to step things up, and the defense was busting a few aspects.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that'll happen.
Rookie minicamp. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's rookie minicamp done.
All right.
Chad, did you have any takeaways from rookie minicamp? Anything you want us to talk about as we transition over to undrafted free agents? So, Griff, we've talked about Buddha Jones, who seems to be a big. I don't know why. I mean, heck. I mean, I like the name. I like the 40. I like D tackles. He looks shredded, but yeah, it's interesting. There's so much interest around him, right? But did anyone else stand out to you from the undrafted free agents?
What's his name? What's the white receiver's name? Hayden Hatton. He's actually intriguing. I hate to compare him to Bobo, but he's tall, long, slow, with really good footwork, and he has good hands, and he's an X. So it's kind of like a Bobo mirror. I hope he makes the practice squad, sticks around, and see what happens there.
What school did he play at?
Idaho.
Wow.
So he's intriguing. I think he actually has a skill set. Westover, I know you want to talk about Westover. I like that. I think he has a shot at making the team. He might push Mabry for like tight end 4, that like the ghost 4.
Wow.
Practice squatter.
Hayden Hatton had a 39-inch vert.
There you go. Didn't he run a 4.8 too?
4.69.
4.69. So he's interesting. I think he's
only 6'1" though.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens with him. But there is one guy of all the guys there's Ro Torrance, there's that tackle from South Dakota State, but there's one guy that I think will actually make the 53. I think he's got a shot, and that's Nelson Caesar out of Houston.
Yeah, he was only the 16th ranked edge rusher in Dane Brugler's The Beast Draft Guide. Brugler had a 5th round pick grade on him, and in the consensus big board, he was 171. I think put together by Arif Hassan. So that is very interesting. That type of pickup. He's a 5th-year senior, and in terms of why he would have fallen, I don't really know. Like he
didn't test great.
Right. He ran a 4.89 40 with a 1.76 10-yard split, and yeah, his jumps were he jumped 31 inches rubbish, and his agility was bad. So I guess that's it. But there's not like injuries or anything, and
no, he was productive at a decent program, a Big 12 program.
Yeah, 13 and a half sacks in 2023, 10 sacks. Wait, hang on, that's wrong. 9.5 sacks in 2023, 4 sacks in 2022, 3 sacks in 2021.
He is incredibly strong. He's fluid. He's squatty. He's always in a good leverage point, and he's technically skilled. He's sound. He knows what he's doing. Like, he's a good player. He's a good player, average athlete, but then he's got a couple of traits that combined with his technique can make for a real player. I think he can give you He can be your edge 5. He might even push Taylor if he's a dog against the run, which he's pretty good against the run.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
so
That's pushing Taylor.
I mean, Taylor's ceiling is high, but his floor is low, right? So it's Taylor. I don't know. We just don't know what's going on there. But Caesar is interesting. He really knows how to. He really knows how to work half man while he's not stiff. That's the thing. He's not stiff. He can get the toes and hips cranked around, and he can bend. Like he can bend at the waist. He can contort and reduce a little bit. And he's a stout 255, a high density 255. He does not get ridden off. Like he's a bit of a bully for like a guy whose game is technically speed. He's really strong within that speed framework, and like I went and watched 3 games and I'm like, okay, he's actually a real player. If you want to just throw on his highlight tape, like that's exciting too. Like he can play. So that's my take on him.
That's a guy I'll be watching keenly. Do you think he's going to be able to? Who's the baby Nick Bosa that they had last year?
Levi Bell.
Yes, going to battle with Levi Bell.
I'm surprised they cut him outright. To be honest with you,
Is he not on the roster right now?
No, if anything, he's a great camp body. Maybe they bring him back. But like he's so explosive. You can't just dismiss him outright. I'm actually surprised by that.
Oh yeah, that's news I missed. They waived him May 1st, 2024.
Yeah.
Wow, that is surprising. Well, I guess the reason they did that is they picked up a guy in Nelson Caesar.
Yeah.
And we should also say that Caesar's here, special teams, you need these outside backers to do stuff. So yeah.
Right.
Now, Ro Torrance out of Arizona State interests me because you see that he's nearly 6'3", and then at the combine had 34 and an eighth of an inch long arms, which is crazy. Now he tested really poor. He played outside corner, like perimeter corner for Arizona State. And so then it's like, are they thinking of him as a press man guy, or might they convert him to like a safety position where, he's like that big nickel type? Like, what have they seen there? I'm interested to see what he looks like because I like the tall, long corners, and I also like the idea of getting. Oh, Kyle Hamilton was tall, so maybe they could get tall slot defender too. Bit simple, right. But maybe there's something there. Anyway, interested in that. And then Westover is he was a fun college player. I thought he'd go undrafted because just the profile is not like, what is he? But I'm intrigued, like, what is he? He's 243 pounds, 6'2" though. So he has a certain density to him. And I imagine his playing weight was more like in the 230s. So is he like a H-back? How do they like move him around? Obviously, Ryan Grubb knew what he was doing with him. Like he used him in creative ways at Washington. So does that work in the NFL? We'll have to see.
He can run those choice routes, I think. And if they want
right.
tight end room, he's got hands and he's a high effort player after the catch. So
yeah, like I don't want to get it's too simplistic, but is he like a fullback in this offense?
Right?
Like, is he almost like a juice check in the passing game?
Right. He's competing with in a vein. He's competing with like Tariq Young too.
As that body who can come in and be moved in line to block, but also you can flex them out and run the slot. Maybe different routes out of the slot, but
right.
He's like the power slot guy for your offense.
Yeah, the guy who you try to cheat the math with, skill set wise.
Yes. He's a back cheating the math almost, and Young is an ex cheating the math, but they both cheat the math by being in the slot.
Yeah.
On a day which Benny Skowronek was released, traded to the Texans. Cheating the math is a hot topic.
Yeah.
Okay, Griff. So that's UDFA standouts. Finally, we've kind of been talking around this topic, but where's the Seahawks roster at right now? Where are they weak? What do they need to do?
They're weak at guard with potential, or they're weak at the interior if you include center. But Oluwatimi is we don't know, but I like his traits. I think he can be solid. We like Haynes, but he's still a rookie, right? It would be different if it was like a legit first rounder. I think he'll be good by midseason, but you're still talking about a rookie guard. And then left guard, it's going to be Bradford and Blake and Tomlinson, right? And it's just
what about Ankrum?
Or Ankrum, the three-way.
What's wrong with you've got something against Tremaine Ankrum? Every time you overlook him.
Prove me wrong, Tremaine Ankrum.
That would do it.
It could be a weak spot again, but I still think the best thing that can happen for the O-line are the tackles staying healthy. So, whatever. And then on the flip side,
that's a bold take.
On the flip side, I like the corner room. Provided Woolen becomes all that he can be. I like the corner room. I think the safety room is okay. Again, where there's also ifs there. Like Julian Love, in my opinion, was not okay last year. I thought Julian Love was bad last year. But I think he can be much better than that, though. So, but then again, we're talking about like skill set redundancy and not quite interchangeability at safety. So it's about, optimizing all those guys right. And then at linebacker, I mean, we know how I feel about linebacker. At this rate, they got to move Baker to Mike, and they got to move Dodson to Will for coverage purposes because Dodson can't. And it makes you think if they're not going to, are they going to run a completely different scheme? Are they going to be
McDonald said how they'll do a bit of both with both of them, and depending on the call, they'll line up in each spot. So,
what would make me feel a lot better, honestly, is if they bring back Jamal Adams and they play him at big nickel, because Devin Witherspoon is not going to be playing all of his nickel snaps at nickel. You want to keep him fresh. And I don't care what people say. Jamal Adams' tape at nickel last year was good.
Right. And generally what we're talking about there is when you're saying Adams at big nickel, that is for early down purposes, right? And so he's getting on the field in the early downs, and then you're maximizing his value because in the late downs you can still use him for maybe more as a weak side guy, you play him at will. You play him at will though, and you can blitz him, and he's playing in a bit less coverage space if the movement isn't back yet in terms of the downfield stuff, and you're not asking him to turn and run with a guy down the pipe, even though he can do that and has done that in his career. He just had that one bad play.
I mean, if he's more physically recovered, 2nd and 12, 3rd and 6, you play big dime, Baker at Mike, take Dodson off the field, Jamal in the weak hook. I'm honestly cool with that, with the corners they have, just competence at safety, the pass rush they have. I think you have a chance in that scenario. Again, a bunch of ifs, but
McDonald would do a lot of things with the threat of Adams.
You get the blitz Jamal
the line and the exotic fronts. Yeah.
So Jamal still has football skills, and you can find 600, 700 snaps for him. And then if like physically he's even more recovered, then okay, rotate him in at safety. Why not? But
it does feel like the linebacker plan has more to come with it. And obviously, as we've mentioned, the Seahawks have had a propensity to leave no stone unturned and not give up on positions and have kind of in season or, start of season, later in off season moves planned. Like Leonard Williams was clearly someone they'd identified early, and they were clearly always planning to keep trying to upgrade the interior of that D-line throughout the year and did. So the one factor to this is, even though Jamal Adams isn't going to be paid the highest safety contract anymore, you've also got Justin Simmons out there, Griff, who is a different option, but that would be similarly intriguing. But all this requires cap space. Even if they're not going to get paid what they were once paid, it does require cap space. And right now, if the Seahawks were to sign all of their draft picks, I believe this is still the case, but there'd been negative cap space. Now, one move they made was Mike Jackson. So back 3 days ago now, Mike Jackson, who was on a restricted free agent tender, he agreed to a new contract with the Seahawks. So that gave him a league minimum base salary of $1.055 million, which is not guaranteed, and a $167,500 signing bonus. So what that did for Seattle is it dropped his cap number from $3.116 million, which was that tender that he signed, to $1.225 creating about $1.89 million in cap space. So basically, Jackson gets less money, but he got $167,500 in guaranteed money, and kind of seems like a move where also they'd say, look, we might have to cut you, so we've just drafted 2 corners, so
yeah,
if you want to be a guy for us and we'll let you compete still and you get a bit more guaranteed money and it'll help the team out, then we would like you to do this.
Yeah.
So I guess there's other moves they could make there. I know you could do the DK Metcalf contract extension early. You could cut a John Rattigan, or try and restructure him.
You can do that. What you can also do is be willing to make a heavily incentive laden contract where the 2024 cap hit is low, and then you take on the charge in 2025. If they were to somehow get Justin Simmons in here, Simmons is still a top 10 safety in my opinion.
I love how you're not even interested in the moves to make this happen. You're just like, I don't care, make it happen. Sign my top 10 safety.
I mean, I'm shocked that he must be chilling. I'm sure teams have reached out. Like, he's still incredibly good.
Yeah, they'll have come with like a price, and he'll have been like, well, no,
Yeah,
I'll have this price, please. And if that is the price, I'm going to sign right at the bloody end of all this boring off-season crap.
Right. I truly wonder if they'd think about bringing Diggs back too, because he is the one skill set they don't have. And this idea that he's not a scheme fit is not true at all.
Unless that's Jerick Reed, right?
Right.
But it is interesting because obviously,
Kobe.
Right? Could be Kobe, but I think he's more of a quarter player again.
But they had him playing to the field last preseason, more so.
Yeah, he was a strong safety playing in the curl flat to the Y. Like,
all right. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the weaknesses are still the weaknesses, although they have drafted well at guard.
It's funny they all they've done is get better at the positions they were already good at.
They've doubled down and trebled down. I do like the Christian Haynes pickup, as we spoke about. So.
Yeah, I like the Haynes pick.
But that's still like...
he just gets you back to neutral, though, because like Lewis, it's like you're getting Lewis, but cheaper with the...
And he's only ever played on the right.
He's only ever played on the right. So...
yeah. I'm so interested to see what happens on that interior of the O-line, because... Yeah, who battles where, and how good is Haynes early enough to then be like, well, hang on, if Anthony Bradford looks good, then how much do you believe in Haynes to be like, buddy, you've started 49 consecutive games at right guard, you're playing on the left, good luck. Like, does that happen? And is there some cross like reps or training that happens in camp, and then maybe even in preseason games? And then how are they going to handle week one with, do they just defer to the vets and then go a bit like we've seen Seattle do in the past with like Gabe Jackson towards the end of his career, but getting these guys some snaps logged in, even if they're not technically starters in series? Like, is that a valid approach?
Right.
Is that something that Huff even subscribes to, or, Grubb can get on board with, or are they just like, that's nonsense? I mean, right. Grubb at Washington wasn't afraid of moving guys around, like the way he moved Fatanu around to get plays popping and set stuff up. It shows that he's open to that, you would think.
Right.
Anyway, that is Seahawks minicamp undrafted free agents taken care of, and the state of the roster. We'll be back next week at some point, probably a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, with a topic. Let us know if there's anything you want to see. We still haven't dived into some of these draft guys. Like, we could watch Christian Haynes' film, like absolute sickos. We
should
could.
definitely do that.
Okay, there you go then. It's Christian Haynes. But yeah, let us know
We
in
could
the
also
chat.
watch more Murphy too. I mean,
We could.
we should
We
should
could do
savor
with
that pick.
a good game of him. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun pick, right? But yeah, we'll be back next week. Thank you so much. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening, 5-star review, please. Everyone, share it with people. Share it on social media, your forums, all that type of stuff. Please do follow Griff at CMikeSpinMove. Follow me at Matty F Brown. Follow the pod at Seattle Overload. You will not watch me eating a pizza. Also, thank you for the donation, Fidel, and also Chris H gave us a super chat on the last video. So thank you, Chris. Appreciate you guys. Fidel, I'll get you added to the graphic. We're running out of space on the thank you overloaders graphic. So who's going to be the one to make me reduce the font size? What do you say, Griff?
Saying you could make a second graphic and then show one after the other.
Hey, Brandon, we don't need to talk about that safety.
Yeah.
Did you watch us break him down? Man can't move.
Matty was right to not like Bo Braid. Matty, you need to watch Master and Commander.
How do I watch that?
It's on Amazon. You can rent it for like $4. It's a film. It is a true film. Anyway.
Okay. Bye.